it will not stand. It will not work.
Right.
This house has to be in unity on the vision. There's one vision. He says, make it plain. That means, is your vision clear? Many of us have vision, but we don't have clarity. There is a difference. When Jesus healed the man, this is the only documented miracle that took place in stages. First time he touched his eyes, he says, I see men as trees. He had vision. He could see something. He knew what it was supposed to look like, but he didn't see clearly what it was. It wasn't until the second touch that he saw clearly. You can have vision. I know conceptually what this is supposed to look like. I know what my business should be doing. I know what my ministry conceptually, but I don't have clarity about it. Lord, give me clarity. Yes. Many of us have an idea, but we're not really, really clear on that thing. And you don't need to be asking for vision. You need to be asking for clarity in this season. You need to be very clear, not on what you should be doing in an industry, right? But what is my unique difference? What do I bring to this that is different, that is innovative? You know, like you said a minute ago, you said you're the answer, right? I say you're the oil, right? And so, because we talked about that one time I was here before with the woman, she doesn't know she needs to sell off, she has debts and she has to pour the oil. Everybody around her had containers, they just didn't have the oil. She was the only one who had the oil. People around us, they have containers, they have jars, they're moving around there, but they could not, and this is the crazy thing about the story, I always look back at this. They had containers, right? What they possessed had no value until she poured her oil in it. The containers, they owned them. They gave the containers to the lady for free, and then they bought them back from her because they had her oil in it.
Right.
This was my container. I just bought back my own container because it had your oil in it.
Right.
See, what we have to realize is when you put your oil on the thing, that is what brings the value. That is what brings the value to your product, to your church, to your ministry. It is your oil. There is an oil that the apostle and the queen mother have in this house that you don't have nowhere else.
Right.
There is an oil that Jasmine has in her business that you don't have in any other business. There's an oil that lays on my coaching and consulting that no other coach has. And so there is an oil that you possess that makes what you sell different than what everybody else sells.
Right.
Oh, you get a coach and consultant anywhere, but I promise you they can't give you what I can. Because it's my oil on this. There's an oil and an anointing in here that you can get everywhere else.
Right.
And you have to understand that it doesn't matter what they're holding, what they can have money, they will be willing to pay you for your oil.
Right.
I don't care how much they got.
Right.
Your vision, you got to be clear. It has to be clarity. Then your vision has to be confirmed. Yeah. You confirm your vision by writing it down in a visible place. That's how you get accountability. They wrote it on tablets. They wrote the vision on tablets so it could be seen by everyone else. Habakkuk could have left the vision in his head. The Lord could have said, just, you know what the vision is. But you write it down as confirmation. This is a proclamation to everybody what the vision for this place is. That's why most times when you go to people's websites, their vision and mission statements on their website.
Right.
Because this is the declaration that I'm making to everyone else about who I say I am.
Right.
And what I say I'm called to do. So this is my vision for my business and my mission. It is on my website because this is my declaration to everyone who visits my business, my church. This is who I say that I am. And see, what happens is when you tell people who you say you are, they will hold you accountable to it. Yeah. It's funny because we was in Chick-fil-A line last night, and the young lady, like you said, was tired. It was at the end. And because we know who Chick-fil-A say they are, and we know they consistently deliver that, when she came up and was a little tired, it caught our attention. It stood out. We're like, Chick-fil-A tonight. You know, we laughed about it. You know, but the point is, people are able to hold you accountable to the vision when it's confirmed. When you put that thing out there and say, on your contact page, and I'm going to return your messages in 48 hours.
Right.
They're expecting an email or call within 48 hours.
Right. 48 hours.
Many times we don't put out those statements because we don't want to live. We don't want people to hold us accountable. We want to do willy-nilly business. We want to do business any kind of way. We want to kind of, just move how we. If I ship your stuff out today, and I can ship it out next week, or I can ship it out. Listen, in the day of Amazon 2-day delivery, you better speed up your delivery.
Yes.
You can't afford to get stuff to people's house 12 days later. They're gonna change their mind and cancel sale because we just don't live in that culture anymore. People don't have to wait. And
Don't
so
have to wait.
that's why you have to make sure that your vision is confirmed on tablets. That's what it said. Your vision also must be catchable, right? Because it says that the runner, he had given. Your vision has to be communicated in a way that people can catch on to it. It's catchy. It's sticky. That's what Malcolm Gladwell calls it, sticky. In his book, The Tipping Point, he calls it sticky. You got to be able to have your vision communicated. A lot of people do it in cute little catchy phrases and lingos, and my old church, their vision and mission statement, everyone knew it. Our core values, everyone knew them, everyone recited them, the whole church knew them. So we knew that they were very short, they were 3 words or less, and it was very quick, and we all knew it, we all could recite it. Why? So that we can communicate it. That's the next one, run with it. It is your job to communicate the vision, not theirs. It is your job to communicate outward the vision, right? Their job is to hear from God, to receive the vision, to package it in a way that they can hand it to you, and it is your job to run with it, right? It's your job to run with it. And so when you run with it, this is one of the other thoughts that I wanted to just leave this at. God isn't just looking for faithfulness, he is looking for fruitfulness. God wants you, your ministry, your business, your marriage, everything connected to you to grow. To grow. Many of you are not growing. The first words out of God's mouth was be fruitful and multiply. And too many of us are focused solely on being faithful and not being fruitful. We're not asking God, how do I multiply what you put in my hands? How do I take what you have given me and make more of it? How do I take the disciples that you put into my hand and create more disciple makers? How do I take the customers that you've given me and because they say it's word of mouth is the biggest, the most profitable form of marketing. How do I create more customers, more clients? How do I take the dollars that you put in my hand and how do I multiply them? God is looking for fruitfulness. And this is the thing, when God saw something that was not fruitful, what did he do?
He cut it down.
Cursed it. He cursed it. Many of us don't realize that what we think is just a bad year is just living under a curse of being unfruitful.
My.
Some of us need to repent for years of unfruitfulness. Decades that we have just not been fruitful. We've not been doing anything. We've buried the talent in the ground. We haven't done anything with it. We haven't brought any multiplication back to God. And many of us, it's not about how we see ourselves, it's about how we see God.
Right.
When God issued out the talents, right? The one who buried it, he buried it because he did not see God properly. He says, I know you are a hard master. Because his vision of God was warped. He was so afraid, he put it underground. He didn't see God as a loving father. He didn't see God as a teacher. He didn't see God as a help. He saw him as a hard taskmaster who was going to punish me if I lost this one thing. Many of us, the experiences you have had in your life has worked the way that you see God. And because you don't see God properly, you are not stewarding the gifts properly. You're not doing anything with what God put in your hand because you don't see God right. Many of us need to adjust our paradigm for this year. We need to look and say, how do I see God? Many of us don't see God as fair because we say he's doing all this for them and he did nothing for me. Why he over there blessing them and they just living raggedy and just getting more and more and more and more? Why we're seeing God as a respecter of persons. Well, he told us he is. So if I'm seeing God this way, we have to ask God, what is it in my eyes that is causing me? I need to clean out my eyes so that me the vision he has given me clearly. Many of us are not seeing him properly. And because of that, we are not responding to what he has given us and called us to do right. Growth. God wants you, your business, your ministry, and everything you are associated with to be growing. Another thought is that my growth potential is different from yours.
Right.
All of our growth potential is not the same.
No, it's not.
Right. And that's why we have to be careful that we don't allow the spirit of comparison to communicate our potential to us. Many times we are confused about our ability because we are looking at what someone else is doing. Right?
Yes.
Many times we're not receiving the same thing from God because our abilities are different.
Right.
Remember in that same story, it says he gives each man according to their ability. Right. Just because your ability is at one place today doesn't mean your ability has to stay there forever. You are responsible for stretching your capacity, for stretching your ability. We're going to talk about that a minute ago. Pastor D touched on that a little bit about who you surround yourself with, what industries, being uncomfortable, getting in places that you've never been before. You have to stretch your ability. That is how you receive more. God is going to give you according to what you're able to handle. We talked about that a second ago. What you're able to handle mentally. Some of you, too much pressure is going to break you. They say pressure busts pipes. Too much pressure going to break you.
Right.
But some of us, a lot of pressure just going to turn us into a diamond.
Come on now.
All of us don't handle pressure the same.
Right.
And so God is only going to give you according to your ability. Our potential may be different, but our purposes must be aligned.
My God.
Ooh. Our potential may be different, but our purposes must be aligned. Because where our purposes align, that is where God commands the blessing. That's where unity resides. And so many times we get into a place where there is a competitiveness in church and business. We are competing for roles and positions and all types of stuff because we don't realize that our potentials are different. And as our potentials are different, that means what we're trusted with is different. So today I may be trusted to be in this role or this position because I am able to handle that at this moment.
Right.
You may need to grow and develop a little bit more until you can be trusted in that position. But this is what we have to understand, that we must all step into our lane in order for the church to grow. Watch this. In Pentecost, when the Spirit of the Lord came heavy at Pentecost, right? And there was this big move of God in this place. The power that fell on the 120 was for the 3,000.
Right.
Right. But there had to be a process or a mechanism to get the power from in the room of the 120 to the masses of the 3,000. Right. So that means everybody had to get in a lane. That means that Peter went that preaching. Right. Peter went the preaching. That means that the apostles, they started performing signs and miracles, right? The administrators began to coordinate efforts for the gathering because the 3,000 people, when they came, they had to figure out where to go. There were administrators that were helping to put together, okay, you come in here, y'all come here. The accounting and the finance people were tracking the possessions because it says that every man, Acts 2, came and brought in 42, all the things that they had them in common. People were bringing in their possessions to the church. There were people that were keeping track of the possessions that were coming in and were assessing the needs so that they knew who got what because they had all things common. So those people that had more were bringing those things in. The people who had needs, their needs were being met because there were people that were doing that. The outreach team was identifying who out here had need. And they were beginning to bring those in so that they could tap the finance and administrative people to make sure that the resource was getting to those people. The hospitality people were coordinating the meal prep. And they were making sure that all the people were eating as they were coming in, that the people were greeting as they were coming in. The people who were getting that information, we knew what town they were from. We knew what village they were from. We knew how to get back in contact with them. The worshipers were worshiping.
Right.
And they were leading the people in worship. Everybody had to fall in their lane. Because if not, the church would not have grown daily.
Right.
The Bible says that the church, that they were added to the church daily. That means that there was something in the 120 that was there to facilitate growth, that they were able to take 3,000 and then keep taking name, so at least I know their phone number, their email, so we get back in contact with them to tell them which service they need to be coming to, because they can't fit it in right now. I'm going to be doing, somebody has to understand where my gift is and where that is to be used in the growth of this church. Same thing with your businesses. Same thing with your ministries and everything, your organizations, everything you run. We have to understand that the power that is released in any moment is activated through process. And I want to make sure you get that. The power that is released in any moment is activated through process. There is a process to grow, to carry, to facilitate the vision, to executing the vision. Have we identified what that process is? I always tell people when I teach, there's an art and a science to ministry. There's an art and a science to business. Art is a creative activity. That's what most of us like to do. We like to do creative stuff. But science is the intellectual and practical activity that surrounds that. The science is the bridge that we build to bring the creative thing, the power, the experience, the product, the message to the consumer, to the client, to the congregation, to the people. The bridge is built by the science of it. And that's what is the difference between a vision and a dream, is the plan to execute. Many of us think we have a vision, but we really have a dream. Because without a plan to execute, a vision is a dream. What makes it a vision is the plan. The plan is what makes it a vision, and it's not a dream. Point number 3. Y'all getting something in there? So as we were talking about this process, I want you to know that a lot of times we read the Bible and we look through stuff, but we don't realize that there is a process that was being executed that we're reading and we watch happen over and over, but because we don't see in the Bible them having a meeting discussing the process, sometimes we miss it. Watch this, Paul's process for ministry. Paul arrives, he finds some people, he always recruits, he explains to them what they're going to do, he anoints them, he empowers them, he ministers to them. Then after that, he lays hands on them, he empowers the people. He continues teaching leaders and the community at large. He lives and works with them. They manifest miracles. Everybody has to hear a chance to hear the gospel, and then he leaves and goes to a new city. And then he copies, he pastes, and he repeats again. He does this over and over and over and over again. The very same thing. He arrives, and when he arrives, he recruits. He always gets to a place that he starts to look. Who can we recruit? Who can we get? Who can we pull in? And who can we bring? He explains them to them. He trains them. He lets them minister with him. He lives among the people, so he understands culture. You have to understand culture. You have to understand the people that you're ministering to. In business, we call it your market. You have to do market research.
Right.
And you do that by dwelling amongst them. That is how Paul was able to minister so effectively. Because as he's in with the people, he begins to learn their ways and their customs, and each town was different. As he writes letters back to the towns and back to the leadership, you can see that he was well acquainted with the customs and the people in those areas. And so I ask you, what is your process? Have you identified what is the way that you are going to do the thing that you're going to do this year? He says, where do you see yourself in June? And everybody got an idea of where you see yourself in June. Where do you see yourself in December? Everybody got an idea. Okay, so what are you doing in January?
Right.
What are you doing right now? Because if you don't have a process right now for January, your June gonna look like December.
Right. Right.
If you don't have a process that you have figured out right now, a plan for how I am going to get to where I desire to be, and we're going to talk about this when we turn the camera, we're going to dig into this a little deeper. If you don't have a process, you won't get there. Here's another thought. Your size and your speed is controlled by your systems and your structure. Your size and your speed is controlled by your systems and your structure. It's interesting because most people, and I work with a lot of businesses, and every time I talk about growth to businesses, they always communicate new products, right? And they talk about you know, I wanna make this, I wanna make this, and they give me a pipeline of products that they want to release. And I always tell people that's not how your business grows. You don't grow your business by making new products.
Right.
You grow your business by creating new systems and delivery channels. Right? Most of the businesses that are innovative and are multi-billion-dollar businesses today don't even have products. Uber doesn't have a product.
Right.
Amazon, they do now. They have a couple of dots and stuff. Amazon started with no products. Airbnb doesn't have a product. Instacart doesn't have a product. Expedia doesn't have a product. Facebook doesn't have a product. Instagram, eBay don't have a product. All they do is create a delivery system for you to take your product and get it to somebody else.
Adams!
They don't create products. And so Uber just built a better system and structure. We would have been trying to build a new car.
Right.
They didn't need a car. They said, I'm just gonna create a platform for you to get people your car. Airbnb said, I'm gonna create a platform for you to let people use your house. Too many of us, and we don't realize, to create a new product costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And then most of us don't calculate, but every day your product sits on the shelf, you should be, decreasing the value of that product.
The pawn shop does it, yes ma'am.
Yes, they do it. You're right, they do it. They do it in the pawn shop. And many of us don't depreciate our products. They do. We don't depreciate our products because we don't really understand the science of business. And so we think, oh, I want to get new clients, let me just get a new product. No. What is your system? All you need is a different delivery channel. All you need is a different system to reach new people. You don't need a new product. Our product in the church is Jesus. We ain't changing the product. But all we're going to do is change the way we deliver. How do we deliver Jesus? We're going to deliver it in a book and some ebooks. We're going to deliver it on podcasts. We're going to deliver it on live. We're going to deliver it in person. We're going to deliver it on YouTube. We're going to put it in some tracks. We're going to put it on the back of business cards. We're going to put it on apparel. We're going to put it on clothes, on jewelry. How are we delivering? We're going to just change all the delivery channels because that don't cost us any money.
Right.
We deliver the same product. We just going to deliver it a million different ways. Too many of us are missing the blueprint. God created the blueprint. God had a product that he wanted to make called man. He didn't create the product till the 6th day. He spent 5 days on the processes and systems. I want to make sure y'all don't miss that.
Right.
Go home.
Right.
God did not create the product until he created the processes and the systems that would sustain the product. Because if he made man on the first day, man would have got man had nothing to eat. Man didn't have nowhere to live. Man had no drug. Man was sucked up in the air with no gravity. There was no system to sustain man. He had to build the product and the systems, the processes and the systems first. Then he made man and said, you control this stuff.
My. Get out, Adams!
He says, I am going to do the first thing. I have a vision, right? So I am going to now create all of the systems that you need to be successful, the product that I'm putting in it. He says, so I'm going to create gravity to hold you down. I'm going to create animals you can eat and some you can ride for transportation. I'm going to create some that, to see, and I'm going to give you dominion over that. I'm going to put animals over there. I'm going to create trees and that's that. As you eat them, they will keep replenishing. I'm going to create apples and oranges and all this other fruit. And they are created in the system so that they continue on their own. It's going to rain and water them. They're going to grow. The seed on drop is going to grow some more. He says, I'm going to create a self-sufficient system. So when I put you into it, you are able to survive. Many of your businesses are not surviving because you don't have a system.
My.
Your products are dying because you didn't have a system to sustain them. You woke up one morning and had an idea for a product and you started baking the cake. Now you don't bake the cake and the cake sitting there because you ain't got a way to even advertise you got cakes. You don't have a commercial kitchen to put them in and take a big order. You don't have a way to even get the news. You don't have a box to package your cake in. You don't have nothing to seal it in. You don't have no utensils people eat it with. You don't have a plate, but you don't have anything because you just had a vision for a cake and you baked the cake.
My.
You need a system first.
My.
You need a system first.
Yes.
Help us, Lord.
Yes. Yes.
And so what now people are doing is people are somebody somewhere, and unfortunately it looks like it's been in the secular community, they figured out systems is where the money is. And so now you have all of these companies that do nothing but make systems and platforms. They do nothing but make more systems, more platforms. Every other day, more systems and platforms are coming out because they're gonna make you pay them to use their system and platform because they know that y'all wasn't building them. Y'all were doing that for creating products. And they say, oh, you're doing this creative product, so we will make you pay us to use our system. So now we gotta pay Etsy, we gotta pay eBay, we gotta pay Facebook seller fees, we gotta pay YouTube, we gotta pay everybody to use their stuff because we never built a system. Not having the system is costing us. And so now, instead of them paying us, we're having to put money into the world because they have the systems, they own the systems. And so I need somebody, when you leave it and tell Lord, Lord, I need a system.
Lord, I need a
system.
Lord, I need a system.
Many of us are not seeing the numbers that we desire in profits and people. It's because we just don't have the processes in place. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is the process, the system, and the structure for activating the vision that I've received this year? What's going to be the process, the system, and the structure for activating the vision I've received? I'm going to tell you, you need a process for each pathway. You need a process for each pathway. This is what it looks like in church. In church, you need a process for visitors. Those are people that come in and they're not a member of your church. You need a process for new members when a person becomes a member of your church. You need a process for discipleship. You need a process for leadership. You need a process for commissioning. And so because many churches don't have these processes in place, what happens is we have visitors that come in and they stay visitors for 2 years or 3 years because we don't have a clear process for how you leave from a visitor to become a member. And then people become a member and they don't know how to grow because we don't have a process, a communicated process for discipleship. So people don't know how to grow and discover their purpose. They don't know how to identify their gifts and callings. They don't know how to grow in their anointing. They don't know how to grow because most churches don't have a process for discipleship. And then what happens is we get disciples, and because most churches, I will say this, don't have leadership pathways and processes. So disciples get antsy when they know they're called to be leaders. And they sit around and they're looking. That's how people run out and start their own church, because we don't have leadership pathways in our own church. And so we don't have leadership pathways that we've created so that people know that you can be a leader right here.
Right.
And you can be a pastor of people. You don't have to be a pastor of a new church building.
Right.
And so people don't understand that, and we don't have a pathway for helping people to do that. And so people leave and start their own church because they don't know what to do. Once I feel that leadership bug, once I know God has called me to leadership, there's not a pathway in here. And then also there are some of us who have been called to the apostolic or the evangelists, and they have to go out and be commissioned. There's no pathway to commission people. And because there isn't, people just leave the church angry and they talk about you. Mm-hmm. And they just get mad and they just leave out because they ain't used me and they didn't, I wanted to go out and they knew I was an evangelist and they just didn't want to let me go. No, there has to be a pathway to commission people. In business, you gotta have a process. You have a process for your social followers. How do social followers become customers? How do website viewers become customers? How do store visitors become customers? How do team members? How do I attract team members? Everybody that comes to your website may not be a customer. They may be a team member. Do team members know how to know that they can join your team from your website? Do they know when they meet you that there's space and room on your team for people to join? We're not communicating that stuff. So everybody thinks that you need a customer. And if I don't particularly buy your product or I don't need your product, I just think there's no opportunity for a relationship with you. Is there a partnership pathway? I may meet you, but I don't need your product, but you may have an opportunity for me to partner with you. Right. I may say, oh, I'd like to partner with on that business. There may be a collaboration opportunity. Have you communicated that in your business? Opportunities for collaboration and partnership, clients, and how do I become a client of yours if I don't want to become a product, but I want to know how you did what you did. We have to be able to understand in business without a clear pathway people leave. We watch analytics on websites, and when you watch analytics on a website, you get to see pathways of viewers. You see where they travel. So a person will click your homepage. If your homepage is too confusing, the next thing they do is they exit. And we can see how long they spend on your homepage. Person's like, because they're looking for, I don't see where I need to go. It needs to be simple. You know, and that's why a lot of times with churches you'll see, are you new here? You know, click here if you're new. If you're a visitor, click here. If you're a member, click. And they make it simple. You got to make it plain. Because when people not going to spend a lot of time looking for stuff because we just don't live in that age. I don't have to spend 3,000 hours looking for your church, how to visit, because I promise you there's a church within 2 feet of your church. Like, you know, if I'm on your website and I don't know how to give or I don't know how to send a check, I'm not going to track you down to give you no money. I will sow it somewhere else, you know? And so we have to make sure, and I'm just dropping a lot of different things, as we're thinking this year about vision, about how do I execute, how do I do something different, I'm giving you that stuff. Those are processes. You need a system for every area of service, right? So how do I serve people with my programs? There needs to be a system for that. Is there a software? Do people look at it online? Is there an app? Is there a Facebook group? What is the software that I use to serve people my programs, or to serve people my messages, or to serve people my time? For me, it's time. So people pay me for my time. And so how do I make my time available? What is the system or platform I use to make my time available to people? We have to have a system for everything that we serve to people, okay? And if there are some people, you have a website, they use, all types of retail softwares you can use, it's all types of stuff, but it's system for everything that, whether it's email blasts, it's text messaging or whatever, what are the systems you're using? And if you don't have one yet, what are the systems you're going to use? You gotta be thinking about those things, you gotta be identifying those. And then the most important thing, can I automate, eliminate, or delegate any of it? Can I automate, eliminate, or delegate any of it? That has to be the goal of every leader, of every CEO, because I assure you, most of the people I sit down and talk to in business, it's interesting that, they come to me, I'm a business owner, this, that, and the other, and I find out within a couple minutes, they're actually self-employed. They're not a business owner. Because you have to do every single thing in your business. If you cannot get sick for a month and your business still running, you're not a business owner. You're self-employed.
Jesus!
You work for yourself. You work for yourself. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being self-employed. But if your desire is to be a business owner, you got to do this stuff. You have to have systems. You have to have process. You have to have a manual. You have to be able to duplicate what you know. How do I step in and do what you do in your business? If it's all in your head, you're going to forever be self-employed. You have to take that out and put that into a manual, into a how-to. And every successful business has a manual. How do we engage our clients? What is our culture? What is our culture here? What do we call people? When people come in, do y'all call them, what do you call them? Clients, customers, guests? People call them cousins. People got all kind of new language, right? Friend, John Maxwell say friend. What do you call your people? That is how you develop a culture. Tim Ross say basement dwellers, he call them dwellers. Everybody has a language for their community. What is your language for your community? And so all of that is important in building the system. But before you can build a system, you must first lay the foundation. And the first question you must ask yourself as you lay the foundation is, who am I? Who am I? Who you say you are will determine the processes and the systems that need to be in place. Who you say you are. And it's okay. You can dominate in any market. You can be McDonald's and a fast food. You could be in 5-star Ritz-Carlton, because you can dominate in all markets. Like you said, you can be a check cashier store or a pawn shop and dominate in any market. You don't have to be 5-star, but you have to identify who you are. If you want to, go to the popular club community and market a product to them, just know that's your client. You can't go to them with this type of branding, this type of marketing, this type of idea, because it won't work. And so again, you have to identify who you are. Next, what resources do you already have to deliver your vision? Because you have to use what you have. What resources do you already have to deliver your vision? We talked about the woman with the issue, the woman with the oil. What do you already have that you can use to deliver your vision? Many of us are searching and we're looking for the next big thing. We're praying, God, you give us the next big idea, but I want to tell you, you are the oil. You are the idea. You are the next big thing. And until you realize that and realize what you have in you, you'll never move to that next level. And this is the last one, Pastor B. You have to put yourself in places and with people who will inspire you to see more and to do greater. In Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, he calls it who luck. Who you meet, who you know, and who you hang around will determine where you end up more than any other factor in your life. I want to make sure y'all understand that. This is statistical. Who you meet, who you know, and who you hang around will determine where you end up more than any other factor in your life. You can be the most talented, so many people die with potential because they're in the wrong group, they're with the wrong people, they're in the wrong club, with the wrong crew, they're in the wrong house, they're in the wrong ministry, they're in the wrong, whatever. And they do not end up where they're supposed to be. And when you are with the right people in the right place, you don't spend time, you invest it.
Right.
You're not spending your time, you're investing it. Because when you are, and we're in a car, and we're having a conversation, the conversation is at a level that I am receiving an investment right here riding in a car because of who I'm in the car talking to. You have to always be around people that when you walk away from those encounters, you walk away enlarged. He just said enlarged a minute ago. You walk away enlarged. Bigger people make you bigger. Bigger people make you bigger. If you hang around and you talk to and you associate yourself with people who are bigger than you, they will make you bigger. We have to go to places that make us uncomfortable and challenge us. We talked about that. We have to read and research. We have to sit at tables that engage us in topics that we don't understand. Take notes. I do it all the time. Sometimes I'm in a room and they talk about something that's well above my head and I just write it down in my phone because I'm going to learn. Trust me, second conversation I've been talking.
Yeah, right.
The first one I'm listening. The second one I'm going to be talking. I'm going to be talking.
Will you all give Dr. Adams a round of this is just part one. Before we close out, I put in the comments before we close out, you will have a few seconds. I'm going to give about a minute or two for those who can be seated in the presence of the Lord. For those that are online, if you have a question for her before we close out, to ask Dr. Adams and to put your question in the comments so she can see it. When I say literally, and no disrespect, but you would pay thousands to get this kind of.
You better know it.
This wealth of information, whether you are an employee, an entrepreneur, a leader, business leader, commercial leader, whatever you call yourself, you would pay major money to get this kind of impartation.
Yes.
So much has been said, and everybody wants to talk about the package, and everybody wants to talk about the product, but nobody has a system in place to deliver and to make it happen. One person texted me, and they said this, Dr. Adams, for you to answer. They said they already have products, packages, and everything in place. How do they break it down and establish a system? Because now they understand why their products is not going anywhere. How do they break it down?
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you so much for asking. The first thing with developing the system, you have to identify where your market is. So the people who are in your market for whatever your product is, where are they, right? And when I say where are they, you have to put this in two columns. Where are they online and where are they offline? So, for example, if my market is 22-year-old females, where they hang out online is a different space than where 52-year-old females hang out, right?
Correct.
So you have to know your market, and I mean down to not just, and one of the things I despise when I'm talking to people, I sell to anybody. No, you don't. If you sell to anybody, you will never make money. The nicher, the richer. You have to identify who I'm targeting. You have a limited amount of resources. You have a limited amount of time. You have a limited amount. This is the thing. Anyone can buy my product, but I don't sell.
No.
I'm not targeting it to everyone.
That's right.
Now, if someone else finds it and comes and gets it, that's great. But the reason targeting is so important is because you have to direct your money, your time, and your energy into one place.
Yeah.
If I am trying to reach everybody, that means that my $5,000 ain't gonna go far.
That's right.
But if I'm trying to reach females who live in urban communities, who are between 21 and 29, who are college educated, who are fashionable, who are, whatever, who love R&B, hip hop music, who watch Real Housewives and those types of shows. I mean, that's the type of demographic you gotta put. Then where are they? They're on Shade Room and comments. They're on Snapchat. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. Okay, so if I know where they are online, where do they shop in stores? Those people aren't in Ann Taylor. What
Right.
stores are they
Right,
in?
right.
You have to know that they're in Forever 21. They're on Shane website. They're on Fashion Nova website. You have to know where your clients are because you have to go to where they are. Perfect example. If you know that your clients purchase from Fashion Nova, right? All you girls purchase from Fashion Nova. That's where all my people that I'm trying to reach are. I can't put an ad on Fashion Nova, but guess what? There are Facebook groups for women who love Fashion Nova.
Right, right,
Go into those groups and there go all your people right in there.
right.
And guess what? DM, dropping a message, send them drop a picture, whatever you do up in there. Because I'm in so many of them doggone groups. People who love Cheyenne, Fashion Nova hauls, this, that, and other. You have to find people. Also know who your competitors are. Because
Right.
people are already looking at your competitor stuff. Go into the groups of people who are watching your competitor. But number one, the way to answer your question is find where your people are and go to them. You have to go to them. That is the same reason that Jesus gave us the same mandate in the Bible. The people are not going to come and just find you. He says, go,
Right.
go, go, go. We have to go to them. People spend all their time on their phones.
Right.
What apps are they on? What communities are they in? Where are they talking at? What podcasts are they listening to? What you can find, man, it's so easy to find out stuff. Back days we had to do market research the hard way. We had to go to newspapers and all other stuff people don't even read no more. Now you can find out anything you want about anybody right online. But answer, go to where they are, then find out what delivery methods reach those people. And so, for example, the 20-year-olds, they're not necessarily listening to podcasts that way. They're watching YouTube videos and watching TikTok. So you have to go to that. If I'm in the 30, 40 range, 50 range, they're watching podcasts. You get older reading books. So you have to find out where do they get them from? Where they identify. If you want to put ads, you got to put an ad in those spaces. If you want to pop up and pull up on those, what events do they go to?
Right.
People that I'm trying to reach, what type of events do they go to? Those are the events I need to be at. And I'm not saying you need to be there with a table vending. You need to be walking around talking to people, having conversations,
Right.
popping up, pulling up. Here's my car. Oh, you know, I know you. I saw it. Your hair real cute. Yeah, I got a car. I have something else you might be interested in. You look like you like good products in your hair. You look like you take good care of it. I like your makeup. That lipstick is real cute on you. You look like you like bold colors. I sell lipstick here. If you ever looking for some more quality, whatever your elevator pitch is,
Work it, girl, work
walk
it.
up to the people. You know, and so that is a way that you can reach, but you gotta go to where they are.
Amen.
Also, evaluate your delivery channels. You need more than one channel. You cannot, the only way you sell your product is on your website, you losing a lot of money.
Right.
If the only way you sell your product is in your one store, you need to have your product on Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Facebook, Marketplace, Instagram, shops, have it everywhere. Oh, we'll come to that. Have it everywhere. Yeah, I hope that answers this question.
I'm tore up for a second. This is so much that's in this right here. Any more questions before online? Those of you that are watching virtually in both Facebook and YouTube, those of you that are watching virtually, because we're getting ready to transition and she's getting ready to do some exercises here for those that are in person today. And I'm telling you, this has been a blessing for everyone. I'm telling you, so much has been shared. Someone says, when will she have a session in West Palm Beach?
Well.
Stay tuned. Go to my website.
Give them your website.
My website is faithandflyers.com.
faithandflyers.com. And so you'll be able to follow her there, and we would definitely be doing some things in West Palm Beach really soon. To those that are watching online, and you say, listen, Dr. Adams, you have been a blessing to me, put the giving up information up. You want to be a blessing to her ministry and be a blessing to what she's done. Listen, literally, if you would have went to any conference or seminar, you would have paid $200 to $300 easily just to get in the door. Somebody said 5 to get in the door. So be a blessing to her ministry and be a blessing to her today, because I promise you, this is a blessing. The Cash App information, all that information will be there, or the Zelle, just say for Dr. Adams, and we want to be a blessing to her. Those of you that are watching online, just hit some hearts real quick, and let's give a round of applause for those that are in person for Dr. Adams. Thank you.